Potential is everywhere. It's in our schools, our neighborhoods, and our future workforce. But while potential is equally distributed, opportunity is not. Welcome to the Empower Potential podcast, brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Bay Area. Every episode, we explore the stories, strategies, and science behind mentorship and how one consistent relationship can change a life and a community forever. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Sheil, and you're listening to the Empower Potential podcast. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. Our guest today, Liam, is just much more than a mentor. He is one of our most dedicated ambassadors. Whether he's representing us at community tablings or volunteering behind the scenes at our gala, Liam is a man on a mission to bring more kindness and goodness into the world. He has seen firsthand how a different perspective can enhance a mentor's own life, and he's here to kind of share how he supports his little brother Alan through some of life's most complicated hurdles. Liam is proof that this program doesn't just change the life of a child, it also emboldens the resolve of a mentor, too. So, Liam, it is an honor to have you on.
Sheil, thanks so much for having me. This is super fun. Grateful to be on this podcast.
Yeah, we're so delighted to be able to kind of highlight your work as an ambassador and a great big as well. So let's just get right into it. Um, so
Sounds good.
Uh, kind of to talk more about your match first, you shared with us that early on in your match, just kind of showing up and having fun led to some noticeable improvements in your little Allen's behavior and schoolwork. Why do you believe that a consistent, caring adult presence is impactful for a teen?
Yeah, great question. So, yeah, me and Alan matched almost 3 years ago now. Yeah. When he was 14 and he's now 17. So, yeah, we started off as he was an eighth grader going into high school, which was a really critical time in everyone's life, but especially a boy. And I always say that's kind of like I said my calling card for Big Brothers Big Sisters is that it is it's just showing up and having fun. And I kind of say as long if you say you're going to show up, just show up. Just be consistent. And I think that consistency is what's really important because a lot of these kids, it's tough, but it's like they might have had a lot of people coming in and out of their lives, or it just becomes really stressful. And so developing trust is hard, especially at that age. It's just developing a trust and a bond that you can feel comfortable on. And I think it's important to build trust and just have fun because I kind of help some other bigs, like some of the younger bigs, newer bigs,
Yeah.
with starting out, and they're always like, "Man, I was hoping we might have like some deep conversations right off the bat." And I'm like, put yourself in the kid's shoes. Like this is a brand new person. It's a random adult, right? That we don't even know each other. And so those deep conversations will come, but I feel like it's so great to just show up, just play in the park, take advantage of some of the awesome free tickets and stuff that BBBS offers and just have fun. Just show up and just be yourself. And so I think that helps so much with because that allows them to see who you are and then you to learn what they are and like how to approach it just like any other relationship. So that's usually why I always say like just show up and have fun. Keep it simple, don't overthink it, just have fun.
Yeah, no, definitely love the emphasis on just kind of keeping it simple and having fun. I mean, I think sometimes I feel like people who are interested in the program are kind of hesitant because they're like, oh, I don't have this like special talent that I can share with my little, or oh, I don't know, I can't take them to this like extravagant adventure or whatever. But like you said, really just keeping it simple and having fun seems to just I mean, it enhances the life of a little so much, and just kind of being consistent, being there, is just so important. So I love that you highlighted that. Um, so, kind of going into the next question, you mentioned that spending time with a team gives you a different perspective on life and enhances your own experiences. Are you able to share maybe a moment or an activity, perhaps at a Giants or a Niners game, where you feel like Allen's perspective really changed how you saw a situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about this question and I thought really is good for yeah, our first Giants game was pretty iconic, I will say. It was pretty early on. I want to say it was July, so just a couple months after our first meeting. And yeah, we got a night game tickets, and it turned out it was his first game, and I was like, oh cool, okay, it's your first game. And I didn't think too much about it at the time. I was just like, great, let's just have fun. And then, but like as the game kind of started, I realized he didn't know all the rule or many of the rules at all, right? So it was just kind of like, okay, let's take a step back. Not everyone, grew up playing baseball, got taken to games. And I thought about my own experiences like, oh yeah, well, I mean, my dad used to take me to games all the time, right? We'd play out in the front yard and learn all like the rules and like the little things to look for in a game. And it was tough because it was like, I was really grateful to kind of teach him and have him be there. And we had an amazing first game. It was a splash hit, bottom of the 10th. We had our rally caps on,
Ooh,
just like a fantastic, fantastic moment.
yeah.
But it was just like, it was both like, it changed my perspective as well. It's about where he came from, right? That like he didn't quite have someone in his life to take him to a games, and just like I said, just explore the rules. We'd like walked all around the park, just little stuff like that. And so yeah, I think about that moment a lot. Of like, I'm both very grateful for my own upbringing, but as well as just being able to acknowledge that and say like, okay, that's totally fine. Let's just meet you where you are, and we'll just have fun. And like the little things start to build along the way like that.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, that's an awesome experience too. I'm glad you guys kind of had that as your first Giants game to go to as well. That's amazing. That's
It was
incredible.
amazing. I was telling him about Barry Bonds because they have the little splash hit counter out in
Yeah.
right field, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, there's this legend that you have to know. And people would like get on canoes out in the cove,
Yeah.
and then the fact that like we saw it like arcing right over our eyes
Oh
and
my
into the
gosh.
water. We had our rally hats on. It was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, buddy, you will never get a better first game. I don't think you could script it better.
Yeah, if there's a first game experience to kind of just highlight like that, that sounds like the perfect experience for
Yes.
sure. I love that. Um, yeah, so I know I stated this earlier, but you've kind of talked about your life goal being to bring kindness and goodness into the world through your actions. So how do you feel that being a big brother allows you to fulfill that mission in a way that maybe other hobbies or even just your work might not?
Yeah, it's honestly something I've been thinking a lot about, sort of like where our paths in life lead, and sort of like where what we end up doing is sort of like a career, or, who we meet. But I mean, it boils down to Big Brothers Big Sisters really allows you to make a positive impact on so many people. Like not just the littles, but like you will be empowered as well from joining this program. I mean, it helps out the parental guardians, right? Like the parents who are like they're working to get by. I mean, you meet so many people. I've just met like a ton of amazing fellow bigs, helping them out. It's just like it's such an amazing nucleus to spread so much kindness out of, and just being yourself. Really, you don't have to like. There's no like, oh, you have to be like this, or like, oh, you need these qualities. Like, no, just show up. Like again, back to show up and have fun. It's just bring yourself, and that's enough. And so just to like have this distilled empower like really powerful kind of thing there in Big Brothers Big Sisters is incredible. And sometimes, yeah, other hobbies, they're definitely fulfilling, and your work can definitely be fulfilling too. But like if you're looking for something, I would say like if you're kind of just looking for a little bit more, maybe you want to give back a little bit more, maybe you see that the world is a crazy place and you're like, hey, what can I do? Like, act locally. That is something you can absolutely do, and it plants seeds that spread like wildfire. It's a fantastic program.
Yeah, I mean, I love to hear that. Yeah, I think especially in such a chaotic world, sometimes we are, I don't know, we're sort of lost. We don't know, we don't know what's going on. We don't know how to help. But like you said, acting locally, being able to sort of give back in the little ways. I mean, I think it goes a long way. So, yeah, we're so glad to be able to have bigs like you, as part of our community, kind of giving back. Um, so back to your match. Your match faced a significant hurdle when you were unable to contact Alan for a few months while he was relocating. Um, During that period of silence, what was it about your bond with Alan or just your belief in the Big Brothers Big Sisters mission that kept you from, giving up on that relationship and instead pushed you to sort of keep calling, keep searching?
Yeah. A little context. We got separated. This was about a year and a half ago. I remember January 2025. And I basically got word that he was going to be removed from his current home and placed in temporary foster care and then potential long-term foster care. And to me, that was like such like a gut check. Like, wait, what? Like, where's he going? Like, do I have contact with him? Because there was issues with like his phone not working and him changing numbers. It was basically just we went radio silent, and I got a few leads here and there, of where you might be. And I definitely got a lot of support from the big community and my match support specialist, as well as just like amazing staff and others. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't want to give up on this kid, Like I just feel like he's out there. I know he's out there. Like I've got to try. And so really it was 9 months actually before we saw each other again. And we finally got in contact maybe like 7 months. And it took a little bit to kind of get us meeting again. But yeah, he got moved to Fresno from the Bay Area. And ever since then, I've now been making monthly trips out to Fresno to see him. And it's just been, but it's worth it because he's worth it. And I try to tell him that, I just try to like remind him that like, hey, bud, there are people that really care about you in this world. And then that, and it's not too hard on my part, right? It's just one trip once a month, but it can really make a difference. And so that's sort of like the story. And yeah, I had some great support, but it was really just that I wanted him to know that he was worth it, and that he was worth going out and finding him. And I had to call a lot of people, but
Yeah,
it's been great. It's sort of been like a new lease on, not quite life, but like at least on our relationship, of like,
yeah,
don't take things for granted, just like uh it's been tough, right? I can't deny that the distance is harder to make more regular outings. As you get older in high school, you have more things going on. So it's but like just having that connection and being there it's been great.
yeah. Liam, I mean, wow, that's such dedication, and we really appreciate that. And navigating those types of situations it's complicated, So we really appreciate you pushing through and being dedicated to Alan and his sort of growth. So yeah, I mean, that actually leads me into my next question. Mentoring littles in, complex situations or just different backgrounds obviously sort of requires a high level of, emotional maturity, flexibility, what have you. Um, and you touched on this a little bit, but how do you feel that the Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Bay Area community and your match sports specialist helped you, manage personal stress of like wanting to be there for a little when there were external situations and circumstances that were just making it difficult?
Yeah, so many ways. I mean, it's just been like I will start naming a bunch of
Yeah,
people, but it's just been just from the fellow bigs to the staff to my match support specialist to even like the new foster families. It's just been everyone's been so supportive. And I mean, so one of the best things is the Bigs Intersections program. It's been our sort of monthly. Right now, they're mostly virtual, but they're basically monthly calls with a bunch of bigs and some staff that allow us to basically bring some of our issues, bring both wins as well as stuff we're struggling with, and just come together as a community. And so it's a little bit like a group therapy session, but it's just with your friends and like with people that you really get to know well. So they have been critical because it coming from like people who've experienced similar things. Because it's funny, I thought I was like, I've got to be one of the only people who ever dealt with this. Like, nope, there were like three people on this call that
yeah,
also were like, oh yeah, well that happened to us. Here's how we dealt with it. Like stick with it. Both practical as well as emotional support. And it was like, oh wow, this is amazing. And then yeah, just some really key staff. I mean, like yourself, Sheil, has been awesome just to be able to like give me some of this platform, as well as just always being a kind person that I run into at some of these public events. I got to shout out Car. Car is my fellow ambassador, or like
Yeah.
kind of she's just such a warm bundle of joy. And like when I was feeling really down, and I was like, I need like, and she was like, why don't you come out and do some more ambassador events? I was like, oh, cool. Like it almost like help me like kind of bridge the gap a little bit. Brad is kind of like a champion, and Sammy, even Sammy's been fantastic. We've been meeting somewhat periodically to kind of check in on things. So yeah, my match sports specialist. I got to shout out some bigs. We got Jeff and Galen. They've been two just all stars. And Francesca. Francesca was actually the one who finally helped me get back in contact with Alan. Francesca was Alan's little sister's big. And we had some positive outings. We had like attended the winter match celebration before. And so I called her up and I was like, hey, I just, no stone unturned. Do you? And she's like, wait a second, I might be able to do something. So, I mean, just so many fantastic people, within the organization as well as involved in the organization as a big, um, that really just add a ton of support. And I'm so grateful for all of them.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. Um, it's so great to hear about the community, especially just kind of coming together and being able to help each other out. We often talk about this quote unquote circle of care that we feel, sort of surrounds the little, but it also sounds like there's a circle of care that surrounds the big as well, especially, supporting you in those circumstances and vice versa, obviously. But yeah, that's such an incredible thing to hear that, everybody kind of banded together and has been able to support you, and you've also been able to support us in our program as well. So I'm so glad to kind of hear that, and that's awesome that you were able to contact Alan's little sister is big as well, and kind of work things out there. So that's awesome. Um, so I guess moving on into some of the, more of future college and career readiness outlook. You've stated before that the Big Futures program is like invaluable to society, especially a society that often disenfranchises young adults. What do you feel are some of the specific like life skills that you're trying to focus on as Alan is approaching adulthood?
Yeah, totally. I just to reiterate on that concept, I think that there is, I think people understand like, oh, okay, as a kid, as an early teen, like, yeah, definitely we got to support them. Like they're still not adults. But like, come on, who's a really an adult at 18, right? Oh, you magically just figure it all out. Like, no, you still need a fair amount of support, and especially support in other ways. And so to be able to kind of extend our services like through Big Brothers Big Sisters to early adulthood is critical. And yeah, invaluable. I was like, oh, cool, I said that once. That's a great word. No, but it's, and so yeah, we as we approach, so Alan right now is 17
Yeah,
and a junior, but so we'll turn 18 during the senior year. um it's tricky, and it's also tricky because the foster program too also doesn't offer a lot of, well, there's some support, but like it's not, again, it's not immediate, it's not kind of obvious. So it's about identifying some of those features, but then from what we can do is like a match. I think it's just some like core skills. So we've talked about looking for consistent jobs, like something where you can kind of continue to go, even if it's kind of like a simple minimum wage job. That's fine. That's a great place to get started, as well as like seeking out future, what am I trying to say, like employment or like
opportunities. Yeah,
opportunities. Yeah, opportunities, perfect. So he's kind of mentioned he's got a real interest in barbering, and so we'll like
nice.
look together of like, okay, what are sort of the requirements to become a professional barber? Because I think that could be a great profession. It's a
Yeah.
creative profession. It's allows you to be flexible, as well as like, my barber charges a lot. I think that you can, I think that you can have a decent
Yeah.
life that way. So,
Mm.
but it's just little things. If his interests change, we'll adapt to that. So it's just kind of being practical, as well as like looking a little bit ahead, right? Let's just kind of take a next step forward. I was thinking about this question. I was like, oh, what other cool stuff could we work on? We actually did the stock market game. So
Yeah.
that was a fun way to kind of, I mean, I will say probably investing in stocks is not the first thing we should do as an 18-year-old, but it kind of allowed us to see like, okay, what does the market look like, right? Like what is, when you think of a stock or something, like, what do you think of? So little things like that, that just sort of build some skills. I think that focusing on mental and physical health is really important. So in terms of like consistent gym activities, or like fitness activities, as well as eating healthy. So I'd actually really love to kind of take him like grocery shopping, and just say like,
Oh, nice.
hey, like, look, this is this avocado or whatever, these bananas are this price, but like you get these ones over here. Look for deals, look for things in season, little things that like we pick up as we sort of become adults and sort of as we do it. And it's like, but you probably had someone in your life to kind of walk you through a grocery store and be like, okay, this is what we're buying today. This is not worth it. This is worth it. And, allow him to make his own choices, but give him some good suggestions. Um, and then mental health too, like just being making good choices as well as seeking out proper care. I'm a huge advocate of therapy and mental health, and understanding that kids are kids and young adults are young adults and they will make some dumb choices, but to not let those compound on themselves or like something you cannot come back from. So really just being frank about some of those discussions as well, and being like, okay, like this is something, it's an annoying conversation, but we need to have it. So
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that you mentioned the stock market game because we actually had Liz Rydell, who's the program director at the stock market game with the Wells Fargo Foundation, and she actually talked a little bit about kind of what you're talking about is really having the space to make mistakes in, I guess, a safe space, and being able to practice that. Obviously, you're going to make mistakes when you go out into the real world, but like having that preparation process is really important, especially as young people approach adulthood and are kind of more out on their own. So yeah, I also love the idea that you're saying like even going into a grocery store and just like saying, hey, this is worth it, this isn't worth it. I think, like you said, such little things that you feel like, oh, how did I even learn this? Well, you pick it up because somebody's sort of teaching you along the way. So, I love that you're sort of approaching your match relationship with just like one step at a time, one little step at a time, because those are really invaluable life skills for sure.
definitely. And it's kind of like I said, the showing up, right? Like if you just show up couple times a month, and little things start to build, and the trust starts to build, and actually start listening to you, but maybe, but it's fine. It's just combination of having fun and like planting little useful seeds along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, so, like we've been talking about, you're currently sort of helping Alan navigate the path of high school and young adulthood and beyond. But how do you balance being, somebody who's fun and who's showing up as a big brother with being somebody who helps a young person sort of see professional work and a future for themselves?
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky situation. I'm not sure there is a right answer. When I was thinking about this, I literally wrote down like trust yourself. Like
Yeah,
we are. No one's trying to make a bad decision, right? Like we're bringing exactly who we are and our past experiences, and we're trying to make good decisions both for ourselves as well as our impact with others. So yes, I think that it's important to kind of like have these, like I said, difficult conversations, or just like trying to guide them in the right direction while being fun. And also it's a little bit like one of the classic things we bring up at Big's intersection is knowing our role, in the whole thing. Like
yeah,
we're not a parent, we're not a teacher, right? Like we don't have authority, and we shouldn't treat it like we have authority either. um but like we still are a mentor, we still are a friend, we still are a brother or a sister. And so there's a lot of value and a lot of weight in that relationship. But it's really tricky of like, okay, let's see, you got in trouble at school for bringing something you shouldn't have, right? Or like you're kind of, you haven't shown up to your job, like whatever it is, right? Where it's like these are things where it's like we talk about, but in the middle of a game of horse, kind of, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
we're trying to balance, but sometimes I feel like, again, like starting fun and like starting simple allows you to build it up to where you can have like a frank conversation. You're like, hey, I need to say something kind of serious for a second, and then you jump back into whatever silly game you're kind of getting up to. But I think that, and like for me, I just kind of went with, like I said, what I thought would work, what I trusted myself on. And if it doesn't work, then we can reevaluate. But um, it's a lot of just trusting yourself and hoping for the best sometimes. But the kids are really good. The kids are great kids, and Alan's a great kid. They just need a little more support, and that's what the bigs are there for. So
Yeah.
that's sort of what I'd say to that one.
Absolutely. Tough question, and you navigated it perfectly. I'll just tell you right now. Okay, so last couple questions here, but I kind of want to get into because you volunteered, outside of being a big brother, obviously, but you volunteered to sort of help us with events, as well as being an ambassador. So one of the volunteer events that you did was you volunteered at our gala last year, and I believe you mentioned that you were brought to tears at certain moments. Sorry to expose you, but
No, no.
um, what did you take from that night that you feel like empowered you to go out and recruit more volunteers and donors as an ambassador?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I big time crier. Love love sharing emotions, but I mean, so last year, that was the year with Ray Davis,
Yes.
the Buffalo Bills running back. And Ray's story is just incredible. Like, just to kind of seek out at like 8 years old, like what 8 year old is really, vouching for themselves. It's like, I need a mentor, I need a brother. And just to go in that story and him and his big Patrick and how they sort of navigated so many moves, right? Patrick was always there for them. And to see the success, he went to Vanderbilt, right? Like they
Yeah.
graduated, he got drafted by the Bills, and he was an all pro. That's like the number one at their position
Yeah.
last year as a kick returner. Like
Yeah.
you cannot script a better story than that.
Right.
And so just that alone, um, kind of starts to really be like, wow, this program, we're not the only program. Like he had a lot of other support, but just like to be able to play a role in that is massive. And I always see, especially at the gala, you always see so many different kinds of people, right? You see the littles and their families who are being honored that day. You see the bigs who are either being honored or helping out. And then you see the staff who are working tirelessly and had been for weeks to put that event on. But then you also see the donors, and every single person plays an important role in that ecosystem. And it's just remembering like what each person can bring, and like what their gifts and talents are. And so it kind of just allowed me to see like, wow, there's even more empowering, so to speak, of so many different people that can be done, just by seeing them at the gala. And just like, okay, no problem, you don't have time to do it, maybe you can donate, or like, spread the word. I think that this program is one where it's spreading the word is so important. And Yeah, just seeing at that gala. And then the gala again this year, we had Galen as the head speaker, who was just amazing. And
Yeah.
so it's basically, it's just incredible. It really starts to put tears in your eyes of that this is a really great program. This helps out so many people, and that it's you can help out. There is ways for anyone who's interested in giving back to help out in many different facets and ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you sort of emphasize that fact. Even if you're not able to volunteer, there's still so many ways that you can get involved with our program, whether that even just be, sharing about our program or, liking a social media post, sharing it with your friends. Even that is helping getting, our program out there, more awareness, more visibility. And yeah, Ray Davis, an incredible story. Would love to have him on the podcast sometime. But I mean, he's just been such an incredible ambassador for the Big Brothers Big Sisters program as a whole, and has really just sort of talked about the importance of just like having an adult mentor, just somebody who's there, who's consistent, who's caring, who's just there throughout the process. And like you said, he also was in the foster care system. He also had to go through a lot of moves, lived in a lot of different places, but he was able to go to a 4-year college and was drafted to the Bills, all pro, kick returner. I mean, it's an incredible just testament to, like you said, we are a support. We're not the only program that helped him out, but we were part of that story, which is just incredible. Um, and yeah, even last year or this year, I'm sorry, we had Galen, who is both a board member and a big brother in our program, speak about his experience as well with the program. So it's just like, different facets of the program that you can be part of, and there's so many ways that you can make an impact. Because, at the end of the day, like our goal, our mission is to help the next generation, succeed. So. Yeah, I love that answer. I'm sorry. That was a little bit of a rant for me, but like I love
Nonsense.
that answer.
I've been talking enough. I think you nailed it where it's like the different, right? It's quite a dichotomy between Ray and Galen, right? Like
Hmm.
one's a professional football player and Galen is a champion, but not quite a football player, you
Yeah.
know? But I mean, just to see how their individual stories and like how different it is, and there were different match of the years celebrated, and they had different speeches. The littles go up there and talk, and they're so eloquent, and it's just amazing. Like it really is like it's just pure love kind of distilled into one night. It's a really fantastic event, and other events like it, whether it's like the gala or the winter or summer celebrations,
Yeah.
the random tabling events that we'll go to that you're like, I don't know if anyone's going to come up to this, but let's try. And then you meet people and you're like, wow, this is cool. This is a great program.
Yeah, so I'd love to get your perspective as an ambassador. Obviously you've acknowledged this, but our wait lists for the program can be long, especially because we like to prioritize the quality of a match, making sure obviously safety comes first, but also that the match is a great match, that they fit together, personality wise, area wise, everything. But how do you sort of use that fact that sort of we focus on quality matches as a call to action, especially when you're talking to people who might be on the fence about signing up for the program?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a tricky situation where you don't want a low quality match, right? Like that just leads to too many issues, as well as sometimes can even do more harm than good. And so to be able to acknowledge that as the program and to be like, okay, we're just going, like we're really going to take our time, find the right people, find the right bigs who are really going to be committed, as well as they have lots of checks to go through and trainings and stuff, because it's really important to make that really proper match. And so they also like pair you up with person who you might get along with too. So like there's a lot that goes in. Like they want you to kind of they want to set you up to succeed, not set you up to fail on both ends. And so when I talk to people, yeah, I'm really like, I'll tell everyone about the program, but especially if they're a man and a just like a caring individual, like, not too hard, two qualities, but not too hard to get to. But still, it's more like you can really make a difference because most of our wait list are boys. And I think it's just kind of women are just more inclined to the program, or like maybe they're like, oh yeah, let's do it. But like the men can make such a big and positive difference. But to get them, to expedite some of that wait lists, then we need more men. And so whenever I'm talking to folks, whenever my guy friends, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be annoying for a little bit. But I just love to tell them about the program. And yeah, whenever I'm out and bath tabling, I'll always bring up like 90% of our wait list are boys, or some whatever the stat changes is
Yeah,
as
it's
we
like
kind of
over
target.
70, something like
It's a
that.
lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
we had the awesome event where we had the flag football day,
Yeah.
which is a lot of little boys and girls too, but like just having them out there, and some of them were on the wait list too, and just to see like, hey, these are kids who would love a match, and they just and they deserve one too. So it's yeah, I love spreading the word, but especially I'll target my male friends as well as like just caring men, but caring adults in general. We just need caring adults to kind of take up the mantle. It's not too much. It's two times a month,
Yeah,
couple hours. Like I said, you can most of the time we go to the park and play basketball, right?
yeah,
And so low to no cost, but it's just to make like those little moments just stack up like crazy. And so it's yeah, I just try to become excited, become passionate about it, and spread some joy with the ambassador program too.
yeah. No, absolutely. And additionally, it's obviously it's important. All adults should sign up to be mentors, but there's also the California State Men's Service Challenge. The Office of the Governor put out this 10,000 Men's Service Challenge in the next couple years, and just kind of targeting that loneliness epidemic, especially among young men. Um, it's it's important for men to show up for men. We've we've obviously seen that our wait list is full of boys that would love to have a mentor that's just there by their side to support them. And yeah, us being part of that California Men's Challenge as well, we're really advocating and trying to get more men to sign up, because it's very important. It's very important for our young men, to have mentors, to have coaches, teachers that are men, and sort of are able to model what they can sort of achieve and sort of open them up to new opportunities, like you've been able to do in your match as well. So yeah, I love that perspective. I appreciate you sharing that, as an ambassador as well. Um, but yeah, the last question that I always like to ask all of our guests, is, obviously the title of the podcast is the Empower Potential Podcast. So, I like to ask, how do you see, or is there a moment that signifies empower potential to you in your match relationship, or maybe just as an ambassador or volunteer that you've seen so far?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a moment where we kind of like distilled empowered potential a little bit,
Yeah,
like where we
yeah.
kind of really identify that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that uh sorry if you can give me a second. I'm just gonna
No,
think
of
of it.
course, of
Yeah.
course. It's not an easy question, and I like to ask this mostly as sort of a way to tie things in.
Yeah.
Obviously, we always talk about igniting the potential of young
Right.
people, and sort of acknowledging their growth and really empowering that growth. So I like to ask, especially our bigs, but all of our community members, if there's a moment or even just sort of um, yeah, a moment or an activity or something like that that you have witnessed or been part of, that really signifies empower potential, in your experience with us.
Definitely, definitely. And now I've got one. That
Yeah.
and no, I mean, so just like I said, they're usually not, it's not like a aha moment of like, wow, you've leveled up or something, right? Like you've
Yeah.
empowered. But it, like I said, it's those little moments that sort of stack. And you might get like one instance where they say something or like they do something that you're like, oh wow, that is awesome. And the one that I still recall, we were driving, I can't remember what the activity was. And then the fact that it doesn't matter what the activity was. It was that we were just hanging out in the car, listening to music, and we had a lull in the conversation. And Alan turned to me and he's like, Liam, how do I become a big brother? Like can I become a big, like I want to do what you do, like for another kid. And I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. And it's just a little bit of like when I think a kid feels supported, right? Feels empowered, feels loved, then they can turn that around, right? They are generous, they are gracious individuals, but you can't unlock that potential unless like you kind of, an empty cup cannot be shared. And so they to be able to kind of like to empower them and fill them up and then to have them be like, okay, now I want to give back. And I hear that story time and time again of littles being like, I want to give back. I want to do some volunteering at work, like let's skip the game this week and we'll go to the soup kitchen. And I'm like, how does this keep happening? And I think it's just because that these kids are really good kids and that they just, we can really empower them. And so I think back to that moment frequently. And I like frantically was searching like what is the minimum age, and like, okay, it's be 21, like, okay, fine. But like it's like just planting the seeds of like how can we empower these kids? How can we like, I think of frequently of like what's in a legacy? It's planting seeds in the garden you never get to see. And you might never really see the fruits of these actions, these labors, but know that you are making a difference and that these kids through you or just through a little bit, right, that they are going to make a difference beyond that. And so it starts to germinate as seeds do. And so yeah, I hope that kind of is a moment that I think of frequently that I think is potential empowered.
Absolutely. No, I love that answer because I think the one I don't know, one of the most fruitful things is being able to see our littles wanting to help other littles, like young people wanting to give back to other young people. And we've seen that time and time again, like you said, like it's such a, I mean, it's a common story, but it's always an incredible story to just kind of hear that, you know, they were supported to the point that they feel, hey, I want to support somebody else like this. I see that my big brother is, supporting me through, all these tough times, or just supporting me on my journey, and I want to be able to give back and do that for somebody else. I just think that's incredible. And yeah, once Alan turns 21, who knows? He could sign up for our program. I mean, that'd be incredible. We're always looking for, younger bigs as well to sign up, to just kind of like understand more of the circumstances and just situations that our littles are going through. So that's incredible. That's awesome, and I think that's a great sort of point to end the podcast episode on. But yeah, I mean, we really appreciate you being on. We appreciate you taking the time and really just sharing your perspective, both as a big and an ambassador for the program. And yeah, thank you so much for being on, Liam.
You're welcome, Shield. Thanks for having me. Truly, people like you, people like other staff in the organization make doing this so fun and so rewarding. And it's why we get out of bed and do this every day, or like, and so, yeah, thank you. Continue being awesome. I love this podcast idea and sort of like getting it off the ground. I'm really excited for it and sharing the good word about the program.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being on. And to our listeners, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel or check us out on any podcasting platform, so that you don't miss our next episode. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Empower Potential Podcast. If you found yourself nodding along today, either agreeing with something that you heard or simply enjoyed hearing from our community, we invite you to join us in our mission to connect Bay Area youth with caring, consistent mentors. We have youth right here in the Bay Area waiting for that person. Head over to bayareabigs.org to learn more. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you tune in for our next episode coming soon.